Hello everybody and welcome back to Unraveling Autism. In this episode, I'm going to be exploring the use of activity schedules as a means of encouraging and building independence in children with autism. So independence is a question of degree, at least when it comes to children with autism. Autism is known as a spectrum disorder because there is a wide variation in the type and severity of symptoms that people experience. Some autistic children may be nonverbal, while others may have limited communication skills, and then still others may be highly articulate but struggle with social interaction. Some children may have difficulties with motor planning, while others can learn to do tasks competently, provided that they receive adequate training and have enough opportunities for repetition in order to master skills. This means that people with autism will achieve different degrees of independence, depending on their abilities, their interests, as well as the type of education, therapy, and upbringing that they receive. Consequently, some autistic people may go on to live by themselves and to hold down jobs and to be independent, while others will continue to live at home and to achieve various degrees of independence depending upon their capabilities and the skills and activities that they are taught. Today I'll be looking at a basic technique that can be used to build skills and independence in autistic children, and this is the activity schedule. The book titled Activity Schedules for Children with Autism by Lynn McClanahan and Patricia Krantz, the 1999 edition, Woodbine House, is the one that I have used, is a book which explains how activity schedules can be created and used for teaching and training purposes. This book is simply written and it's easy to follow, and it also provides real examples and photographs of children using their procedures. So in this video, I will take you through the basic principles of the process of creating an activity schedule for your child, as they have been explained largely in this book. But what the schedule will contain and how it will be drawn up depends on the age, the interests, and the capabilities of your child. If you are interested in implementing an activity schedule, I would recommend that you obtain this book, as I believe it is still currently available online. It provides detailed but clear explanations of the process of creating the schedule and using it in practice. So, what is an activity schedule? It is a visual instruction that directs a child to engage in an activity or a range of different activities. It is a powerful tool that can help children with autism to complete tasks or to acquire new skills and so help them to build their independence. The activity schedule will contain pictures or photographs. Some schedules can even contain real objects if you have a child who does not understand the meaning of picture and its application to a task. On this slide, I have included an example of a schedule. The one at the bottom is a very basic activity schedule, perhaps for a preschooler or a first grader. It will include, it includes a cutting activity, lunch or break, a counting activity, and some outside time. Then there is also a schedule here on, at the top, which is not part of the activity schedule, but which is a kind of schedule that explains the activities that you need to go through in order to complete a particular task. So here you have a schedule that explains the making of a fruit salad, rinsing strawberries, blueberries, and other fruit, cutting up the fruits, pouring it into a bowl and mixing it, topping it with your favorite topping, and then eating it. So when you teach a skill, this would be the separate schedule that you would use to teach the skill, and once the skill is mastered, you would then include just a reference to it in the actual activity schedule, because at this stage the child will be able to complete that task independently. An activity schedule, as I've said, is a powerful tool because it can help a child to complete tasks independently. It can also help him to practice many new skills that he's recently learned and mastered, so that his independence increases with the passing of time. An activity schedule can be used to teach a particular skill, as I've said, and then you then incorporate that particular skill into the general activity schedule together with other tasks which your child already knows and has mastered. If you are interested, you can consult a useful reference from the University of Pretoria, of which I've attached the link here below, and it explains the whole process of creating schedules for children with autism and also provides you with some useful examples. An activity schedule is not to be confused with a visual routine. So a visual routine would list normally everything that the child does for the day, whereas an activity schedule involves a child doing a set list of activities, maybe 2 or 3 activities for a fixed period of time, for example 30 minutes, or for an older child an hour. And the focus is on the child then learning to practice these particular activities and to do them independently. Why are activity schedules important? Due to language and social impairments, many autistic children will not be able to tell others how they would prefer to spend their days. An activity schedule is the beginning of a process that includes the activities your child likes, and it also gives him the opportunity to include specific activities as a choice, as his own choice. So this gives him a say in how his day will go, and it makes for a less frustrated and a more happier and independent child. And that is provided the process is done correctly, he's been taught the skills, and then the skills have been transferred into the activity schedule for him to do independently. So activity schedules can include a balanced and beneficial range of many different types of activities. They can include things like sport or exercise, cooking and baking, household chores such as sweeping or taking care of pets, cognitive and creative activities such as reading, drawing, maths, and completing puzzles. Then it could also include social activities such as chatting to a family member or a friend or playing a card game with a sibling. And then it could include academic activities which form part of the school curriculum, such as addition or subtraction or writing a summary. So activities that involve making of a product could also be included. For example, making handmade soap. And this could be the beginning of an enterprise, for instance, to be able to sell these products. And could even later turn out to be a business. So, and then also you could use the activity schedule to include self-care activities such as flossing or packing away laundry or getting dressed. So the range of things that can be included in an activity schedule is wide, and it can be used as an opportunity to broaden the range of activities that your child can do safely, competently, and then independently. Now let's look at the practicalities of how to make a schedule. An activity schedule will look different for a preschooler as compared to a teenager, as compared to a young adult, and it will also depend on your child's current skills and his abilities. Select 1, 2, or 3 activities that your child is able to do and has mastered. Take a photograph of the material used in that activity and place it in a ring binder or an arch lever file using a plastic sleeve. Or alternatively to using a plastic sleeve, you could also paste the photo on cardboard and then place it in the file. Here are some examples of activities that could be included in a schedule. If your child knows how to complete a specific puzzle, take a photo of that puzzle and insert it in the file. If he knows how to read a specific book, take a photo of the cover of the book and insert it into the file. If he is able to do a specific matching activity, take a picture of this activity and then place it in the file. So in this case, for example, you would then have 3 different activities in the file indicated by photos. Begin with the activities that your child can do. As I've said, you cannot include skills or items in an activity schedule that your child has not yet learned to do. So for instance, you cannot include a book that your child has not been exposed to and does not know how to read. Unless, of course, your child is a very competent reader and you know for a fact that he will be able to read this book. But ordinarily, I would begin the schedule by using activities that your child has already done and is able to do independently. So you will also need to include a picture of a reward in a separate sleeve. For example, a cookie or a juice or a favorite game or video, which your child will then access when he has completed his activity schedule. So in this case, for example, the pictures here indicate a puzzle, a simple puzzle, then a book about a dinosaur, and then a simple matching activity for Dora the Explorer. Place all the items that are mentioned in the schedule in baskets on a shelf or on a table or desk. Make sure that these items are close to the table or chair where your child is going to work. Direct him gently using your hands to the file. Let him open the file, go to the first item and point to it. Then guide him to the shelf or basket where the puzzle or book, etc. is kept so that he can find it. Then guide him to pick up the puzzle or book and then to take it to the table to complete it. When he is done, guide him again to place the puzzle or book back into its basket where it belongs and then to put it back on the shelf or the desk. Then guide him to turn the page in the file to the next item, to point to the next activity and then to take it out from the shelf and then to complete it. So continue in this way until he has completed all 3 activities in the file. He can then point to the reward item in the separate sleeve or give you the card so that you will then give him the reward, which could be cookie or juice or other reward. For children who understand the use of tokens, he could also receive tokens in lieu of rewards, and he could then maybe at the end of the week exchange his tokens for a bigger reward. So as your child gets older and learns to use the schedule, you could incorporate more and more activities that he has learned into the schedule, and he will then build his independence. So while your child is learning to use the schedule, you can guide him physically to open the file and point to the item, take out the books or other materials, complete the activity, and then place the items back into the basket. But when you are doing all of this, do not insert yourself between the child and the activity. The idea is for him to be able to complete it by himself. So if you need to prompt him and guide him, stand behind him and guide him with as little interference as possible. Your child needs to learn to do the activity by himself and not become dependent on you and your prompts to help him to complete it. So as much as you also need to guide him from behind, you also should not talk to him through the activity or provide instructions verbally while he is working. Your child must not become dependent on your verbal prompts, on your speaking, and he must not also become you should not become dependent on your physical guidance. So as time passes, you will then need to reduce the amount of prompting that you are doing so that he builds independence. So as soon as he is using the file and completing the activity by himself, step back and stop prompting. You can then shadow him by remaining close by in the room to check that everything is going smoothly. And once he does the activities independently, then you could even move to another room and allow him to work independently, checking in only as needed. The point of the activity schedule is for your child to learn to work independently, guided by the schedule rather than you. So if you wish to teach your child a new skill, then create a separate schedule for that skill, as I've explained previously with the fruit salad example. Teach each step in that schedule, practice it a few times, and then once your child has mastered that skill, then you can include a photo of the fruit salad activity into his activity schedule for him to do independently. For example, also teach him to fold his laundry separately, and then once he has mastered that, you can include it in his activity schedule. If your child does not make connections between photos and actual objects, you would first need to teach him some matching activities where he matches objects, for example, cups to other cups, spoons to other spoons, and then also to match later on a picture of a cup to a real cup. So once he has learned how to match objects and then photos and pictures to the corresponding items, then you can start off to create a simple activity schedule. And as I've said before, don't include activities in the schedule that your child has not mastered or does not know how to do. He will not be able to complete an activity independently if he still has to learn how to do it. Teach a new activity or skill in a separate process, and once you have taught him the skill and he is able to do it by himself, then you can move on to including it in the schedule. You should change the order of items in the schedule regularly and add new items occasionally so that your child does not get used to a fixed order of things and then become anxious when the order changes. You should also include social skills in the schedule, such as, for example, a photo of a sibling and a wave or a high five, or a reference to a greeting and a how are you, so that your child learns to initiate social interactions as part of his daily activities. If your child is able to complete an activity schedule, it is likely to give him a sense of pride and accomplishment and purpose. Use the activity schedule as a tool to teach your child many new cognitive, life, academic, or social skills. Here is an example of a schedule that teaches a specific activity. It is first taught separately, and once the child has mastered the skill, it is then included in the activity schedule. So clean your room, the checklist, first to make the bed, and then you teach how to make the bed, pick up toys and place in a box or basket, put shoes away, throw away garbage, put books back onto the shelf, place dirty clothes into the laundry basket. And those are all the separate items for tidying up of the room as a whole. And you then teach that, and then you could later on, once it has been mastered, just have a clean your room with a photo of the room in the activity schedule. Here is an example of some of the items in my daughter's daily routine. She is a young adult with autism, and she has compiled this routine herself and uses a daily planner to organize her activities. She will do most of what is on the list and is quite a hard worker. However, on some days, when we have a helper who comes in, then she will obviously omit some of the tasks that are done by the helper. In her case, she has merged her daily routine with her activity schedule. That's just because she's older and knows how to manage it. But for younger children who are learning to manage activities independently, I would recommend by starting with a simple activity schedule using a file which contains 2 or 3 activities to begin with. Currently, and while Akila is working to develop her skills in art, we are still trying to find something that she can do or be taught to do that will generate an income. This will probably not be a job that involves a lot of interactions with people, as this is not the type of work that she will be able to manage without anxiety and also difficulty in being able to meet outside needs and expectations. Rather, it is likely to involve something like a craft or a skill or the making of a product that we might assist her to sell on the open market. Stephen Covey once said that every human has 4 endowments: self-awareness, conscience, independent will, and creative imagination. And these give us the ultimate human freedom, the power to choose, to respond, and to change. So this ability to grow and to change and to move towards more independence applies equally to people with autism. And for this reason, we should continue to encourage them to build more independence as they grow and mature. We should believe in them and continue to support them in all their abilities, all their talents and interests, and we should never underestimate them. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you would like more useful and practical information on raising a child with autism. Goodbye.